When the storm came, it washed more than just the roads. It also unearthed a chilling family secret buried for generations. We Are What We Are is a 2013 horror thriller film in which tradition isn't just respected, it's fed. Behind the closed doors of a grieving, devout family lies a twisted ritual, so disturbing and quietly horrifying that it redefines what it means to keep the faith. As floodwaters rise and an autopsy unveils something unspeakable, a small town begins to uncover the monstrous truth about the Parkers. This truth has been simmering in silence for decades. Stick around because this isn't just another horror movie. It's a slow burn descent into generational darkness. And once you see what's on the dinner table, you won't be able to look away. Without further ado, let's get into it. The movie opens with the sight of heavy rainfall, drenching a quiet rural town. It's a rainy Friday morning, and a woman named Emma Parker is on the brink of tears while driving down a lonely road. She finally arrives at her destination and enters a local store, soaked and disoriented. She exchanges brief words with the butcher before exiting the store. While walking back to her car, she spots the poster of a missing girl. As she touches the poster, it's obvious that something's wrong as blood starts dribbling from her mouth. Moments later, this happens. Emma collapses outside, bleeding and convulsing. Within seconds, her lifeless body drifts into a ditch before being swallowed by the storm. Dr. Barrow, the town physician, breaks the sad news of Emma's death to the Parker family. The news strikes the Parker family hard. Surprisingly, there is no typical mourning at their home. Frank Parker, her stern, soft-spoken husband, hardly shows any emotion initially. However, we later see him crying outside in the rain while being comforted by his neighbor, Marge.
She's in a better place, Mr. Parker.
Frank also doesn't go to identify his wife's body at the morgue. Instead, he sends his two teenage daughters, Iris and Rose, visibly shaken but eerily composed. While conducting an autopsy on Emma's corpse, Dr. Barrow uncovers strange findings. One of the things he discovered was specifically signs of Kuru, a rare neurological disease associated with unorthodox diets. Back at the house, an unsettling family history begins to surface when Rose asks her father about Lamb's Day, a specific ritual her mother always did.
What about Lamb's Day, Daddy?
This question angers Frank, who replies that Iris, the eldest daughter, will take over the responsibility.
Iris is the eldest daughter. It's her responsibility now.
Later that night, Frank is driving along a lonely road when he spots a woman whose car broke down. He stops his car and it looks like he's about to help the woman. But Frank instead grabs a tire iron and walks menacingly towards the woman, implying that he is going to attack her. The scene shifts to the next day, a Saturday morning. We see Frank wiping blood from his face before he brings out an old journal from a hole in the kitchen floor. Later that morning, Rose sees him disposing of 2 trash bags. That same morning, Dr. Barrow is at the creek picking wildflowers when his dogs begin to bark toward the water's edge. Curious, he approaches and spots what looks like a bone fragment lodged in the mud. He carefully retrieves it and takes it with him. At the police station, Mr. and Mrs. Kimball report that their daughter, Emily, has gone missing. The officer initially tries to calm the couple down by saying that their daughter is probably at a friend's house. He also says they can only issue an alert after 24 hours. But upon seeing the mother's distress, he reassures them they'll start investigating immediately. The officer also tells the secretary to print multiple posters of the missing girl. Meanwhile, in his dim workshop, Frank burns credit cards and IDs belonging to unidentified persons in a barrel fire. While doing this, his employee stops to tell him of his decision to quit, citing the lack of work.
I'm sorry. I know it's a bad time for you, but I'm finished with this place. There's no work.
Frank is visibly frustrated at this news, but he says nothing. After the man leaves, he stares at the flames before silently warming his hands over the fire. Rose is pouring wax to make candles inside the house when Rory approaches, saying he's hungry. She pours cereal into his glass and signals for him to keep it quiet. Later that day, Frank meets with Marge and gives her a brooch. He tells her it's a token of appreciation for comforting him the previous night.
I don't
It's
understand.
a token for last night. Kindness shall be met with kindness.
Kindness shall be met with kindness, he says. He also informs Marge about a funeral he wishes to attend that afternoon and asks if she can babysit Rory whilst they're gone. She readily agrees without hesitation. Dr. Barrow leaves a voicemail for Sheriff Bob Meeks, explaining he found a bone fragment by the creek and believes it's significant. After hanging up, he gently lays the flowers next to a photograph of his daughter, revealing that she vanished long ago. Back at the house, Iris and Rose sift through family photographs in preparation for the funeral. They discuss whether they can take over their late mother's religious responsibilities. Iris insists they must continue the tradition and carry out this year's ritual. Feeling bored, Rory wanders into Frank's shed alone. Inside, he hears chains clinking and discovers a woman bound and hidden. As he peers closer, Frank comes in and scolds Rory for being where he shouldn't be.
You know you ain't allowed down here.
I seen the monster, Daddy.
Rory tells him he saw a monster. Frank, rather than panic, calmly tells Rory not to be scared. Frank, Iris, and Rose leave for the funeral, leaving Rory in Marge's care. She holds him as they wave goodbye. At the funeral, Frank recites the scripture as the casket is lowered. Once it's over, he breaks down in the car. The girls tell Dr. Barrow that their father hasn't eaten since the accident. Barrow advises them to get him some soup, reassuring them their mother didn't suffer. In the car, Frank hands Iris an old book, the same one he had hidden under the kitchen floor. That night, the girls begin reading from the book. It recounts a long family history filled with disturbing ritualistic practices dating back to the 1700s, including accounts of sacrificial rites. While they were still reading, Deputy Anders knocks on the door and asks if they've seen a girl who passed through the area. Iris denies having seen anyone. Before leaving, Anders, infatuated with Iris, shyly asks if she'd like to see a movie sometime, but she politely turns him down. Dr. Barrow visits the sheriff and shows him the bone he found at the creek. He brings up his missing daughter and the new case, but the sheriff tells him that the department is stretched too thin to analyze the bone right now. Later, Iris and Rose return to the book. The story describes a snow-covered evening in which a desperate family, starved and grieving the death of the mother, teeters on the edge of madness as the father grows more unstable. At night, Iris wakes Frank and asks why their family lives the way it does. Frank tells her it's how God intended, and they must never question it. Iris promises she will take care of what needs to be done, hinting that there is only one more day left. Dr. Barrow meets Anders at a diner and shows him the bone fragment. They speculate on what it could be and what might have happened to the dozens of people who have gone missing. Out the window, they spot Iris and Rose carrying boxes. At that moment, Anders finally agrees to help Barrow investigate the bone's origin and who it belongs to. Back at the house, Rory runs a fever. The girls call Marge, who comes over to help. As she comforts Rory, he bites her thumb and tells her he's hungry. Frank arrives and questions what's going on. Marge explains the fever. After she leaves, Frank's nose begins to bleed.
The stolen shed.
Iris tends to him, and Frank ominously says it's a sign. The time has come. The girls suit up in plastic coats and enter the shed. At the same time, law enforcement is investigating the creek. They uncover a body floating in the water and discover that it is the girl whose parents reported missing to the police.
I'm gonna have to call the Kimballs.
In the shed, Iris and Rose reach a locked gate and follow the sound of chains and soft moaning. Iris drags the woman, Mrs. Stratton, from under a table. Rose hesitates, unwilling to help, but Iris insists.
I cannot do this alone. I need you. Please help me, Rose.
When Mrs. Stratton tries to fight back, Iris strikes her with a heavy object, killing her. Rory witnesses this and asks if they've killed the monster. Rose says yes and ushers him away. Outside, Marge is setting out dog food when she hears someone crying near the shed. Inside, the sisters begin preparing the body according to the ritual. They butcher it for consumption, just like the stories in the book. Iris calls for dinner and tells Rose to gather everyone. As the pot simmers, Marge knocks at their door with lasagna and asks about Rory. She also mentions hearing someone crying in the shed, but Iris brushes it off.
I don't know what you think you heard, but you must be mistaken.
Good night. Good night.
At dinner, Iris serves the stew into everyone's bowls. It contains the cooked remains of Mrs. Stratton. Frank leads the family in prayer and then praises the meal. The girls, visibly disturbed, reluctantly eat. Frank then assures them their mother would be proud and that the act will further unite their family. The next day, Dr. Barrow and Anders return to the creek and find additional evidence. Barrow comments that the bones appear to have been boiled. The girls see the two men from their window. Iris invites Anders to the house and asks him what he's searching for. When he shows her a tooth, Iris claims it's likely from an old cemetery on their land and offers to take him there. As they walk through the woods, Anders confesses his feelings for Iris. Overcome with emotion and guilt, she bursts into tears. He comforts her, and they make love in the forest. Frank finds them mid-act and flies into a rage. He brutally murders Anders, stabbing him while he's still on top of Iris. He then sends Iris home and orders the two girls to remain in their room. Frank burns Anders' clothes in a drum and then storms back into the fields, yelling scripture and hacking at the ground with an axe. He discovers a jawbone and then realizes the river is carrying dozens of human remains. He desperately tries to retrieve them, but eventually gives up. Meanwhile, Dr. Barrow notices knife marks on the bone fragments while studying them in his lab. He concludes that Mrs. Parker had developed prion disease, a rare and deadly condition resulting from consuming human flesh. He also consults a medical reference and begins connecting the dots. Alarmed, he realizes that he's looking at evidence of cannibalism. Meanwhile, the girls plan to escape while Frank sleeps. As he prays in his room, Rose finds the car keys. She later discovers that Frank has poisoned the remaining stew with arsenic, revealing his plan to kill them all and himself. At dinner, Rose slaps Rory's spoon from his hands, preventing him from eating the poisoned food. Just then, Dr. Barrow arrives to confront Frank. He recognizes the hair ornament Iris is wearing. It belonged to his missing daughter. Angry, he points a gun at Frank and demands answers.
You killed my daughter.
What?
Your daughter's wearing a hair clasp.
When Frank pulls out a hidden gun and aims at Dr. Barrow, Iris jumps in front of the older man just before her father shoots, taking the bullet.
Tell me about my daughter!
Daddy, no!
Seizing the distraction, Frank knocks Barrow unconscious. During the commotion, Rose flees with Rory to Marge's house, but Frank breaks in and kills Marge. He then persuades the children to return home with him. With the family back again at the dinner table, Frank urges them to eat. The sisters snap when he tells Rose she reminds him of her mother, and this happens.
Just like your mother.
They attack him, savagely biting and tearing at his flesh until he dies. Dr. Barrow, barely conscious, witnesses this gruesome act. Rose slowly walks towards him and gently places his daughter's hair ornament on his chest in a silent gesture of remorse. At dawn, the children leave town. As Iris drives, Rose clutches the ancestral diary close to her chest and slowly caresses it as they disappear into the unknown. This movie isn't your typical horror flick. It's a slow-burning descent into inherited madness, blind faith, and the chilling rituals that bind a family together. It's about the darkness that festers behind closed doors and the terrifying legacy passed down through bloodlines. If you like this recap, hit that like button and subscribe for more breakdowns of the most disturbing, under-the-radar thrillers you definitely don't want to watch alone. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.